bad things. I just think it's a wonderful year of opportunity for spiritual and personal growth.
Well, I think you're right. And vibrating at the level you are, that's the way you would see it. But there are some people who are not on a spiritual path, and some of the turmoil in the world that's going on right now, wars and shortages and things like that, it's going to bother them a little more. And one of the
Yeah.
traps that we can find ourselves in as light workers is we can say, oh, it's so sad that people are involved in Gaza or the Ukraine and things like that. And we can get caught up in the negative emotions associated with those things if we're not careful. Any
Mm.
thoughts on how we might, in a sense, spiritually protect ourselves from some of that stuff that's going on around us?
Yeah. Yeah. So my personal take on it is, and some people might call this selfish, but I avoid the news like the plague. I avoid the news at all costs.
Yeah.
And I've had people tell me, my mom including, oh, but you really need to know what's going on. And I go, why? Why do I need to know what's going on? Like, how is that going to help me? And I understand, there is a balance with, caring and yeah, and just being really, it's a fine line, and this is the problem. If we could just care and still feel good, that would be something. But the problem is that when we watch the news, we feel terrible. And I mean, understandably so, you're watching suffering and dying. And I mean, how could you, it's very hard to watch something like that and not feel bad. Now, the thing that you got to think about is as you're watching this, you are feeling terrible. You're like scared, perhaps, or you're angry and you're frustrated. Then you go out into the world and you are vibrating at that level. You are, whether you like it or not, this fear and this anger shines through to others around you. So in you trying to do something good, like being aware of what's going on in the world, you're actually making yourself feel bad, and you're making everybody around you feel bad and worried and stressed and anxious. So you're not really doing anybody any favors unless you really want to get involved and help in some way. And look, sometimes helping so if you do want to be informed and you're not prepared to like switch off the news, fine, watch it, but don't get too attached, and then do something about it. Now, what can you do about it? You can truly just send loving thoughts to those people. You can maybe visualize this turmoil like coming to an end. You can send peace to whatever you want, to the children, to the people that have made to fight, to the leaders. At least you're doing something about it, and feel good while you're doing that. Feel good, feel like you're helping. Then at least you will be in a better vibration to help those around you and yourself. So that's one tip. And then the second tip would be that no, I actually said it. It was just that, it's just, yeah, be cautious with when you listen to all of this, and be aware of how it makes you feel and what you're contributing to the world by the way that you carry yourself. I yeah, I really don't get too involved, unfortunately. And also I think that we have to understand that, I know this is hard to understand, but people do come into this life with a certain with certain contracts that they
Yeah.
want to experience. Every life is valid. And even if you are the guy in the middle of Gaza shooting another guy or being shot at, there are um, some soul contracts that are decided before we come into this life. And it's very exciting to be here on earth because we experience extremes, right? Like extreme fear and sadness and everything, and extreme joy and excitement. It's a crazy ride. And what you need to realize is that we're just here for a split second, considering our infinite existence. And so it might feel really bad, But in terms of our soul, it's over in a split second. And sometimes I compare it to video games. Like if you play a video game, and I don't play any video games, admittedly, I'm not into them, but if you do play a video game, and if you were to play something that was really easy, let's say a little man is just walking and nothing much happens and it just becomes boring, right? As a player, like, oh, you need some challenge. So as you start getting a challenge and the little man is like hopping or, going through this and almost dies, but doesn't. And it's quite exciting. And as you get over the challenge, you go, yes, I did it. And then you go, okay, let's go to level 2, right? And then you go level 2 really hard. And then you make it, and you're like, yeah. And the harder it gets, the more fulfilling it gets, like the better kick you get out of it. And it sounds crazy, but in terms of our soul, when we come here, it's almost like we're playing a video game. We decide to come, we decide to forget who we are, we decide to have these feelings of pain and suffering, and the whole point of the game is just to get over it, to master it, right? And so that's what you should try and do. Like when you have a challenge, okay, cool, I've decided to have this challenge. How am I going to master it? How am I going to be fine afterward? Not just fine, but great. And we can do that. And I mean, if you've read of people that have been in concentration camps or jail or terrible things, and they come out of it like a lot more enlightened human beings, well, they were able to sort of get to that next level. So in as horrible as it is to watch this pain and suffering, those souls are wanting to go through that experience because we're all playing this video game, and they've chosen that thing. In fact, they've been very courageous. They say that people that experience like really hardships in their lives, they are very gutsy, their souls are very gutsy, but they have this massive potential of learning and of expanding. It's almost like the further back you throw the bungee cord, the further forward you're going to go. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's not about not feeling empathy and not caring, but understanding that everybody has a life journey, and that's okay. Not everybody's meant to come here and just, smell the roses and just live in a chocolate filled world where everything's perfect. It's just not meant to be that way.
Well, I've heard it put that those people in Gaza are there by agreement, soul
Yeah.
agreement for the better good. And
It's hard to
I
believe, but
heard
yes.
I heard somebody say one time, it may have been a channel being, I'm not sure, but imagine that long, long, long time ago, there were these very powerful spiritual beings, and together they were wondering, what are we going to do next to as creators? And somebody said, well, why don't we take on physicality, forget who we are, and see if we can get out of it?
Mm.
And they said, yeah, wouldn't that be a great game? And here we are.
Exactly.
I,
Exactly.
well, I've been watching the clock here as well as everything that's transpired, and I think we're going to have to wrap this up. But is there anything that we didn't cover that you might like an audience to know about pertaining to Oracle or anything else for that matter?
Well, thanks, Peter. Well, I would say if you've watched this far and you are intrigued, head over to Oracle, and that's ORYKL.com. Have a look and see what channelers are on offer, watch the little videos, and try out a session. It's really very eye-opening, and as I said, very empowering. It's very loving, very healing. There's a lot of energetic healing that happens. It will raise your vibration as well, because these entities are vibrating a lot higher than we are, and you're going to have a fantastic experience. So try that out. And otherwise, continue what you're doing, remain heart-centered, and just have fun. We're here to also have fun. We take life a little too
We are
seriously sometimes. Let's just have a good ride. There's a lot to enjoy.
playing, we're here to experience, here to experiment. Yeah, well said. Thank you. Bueno, thank you
Thanks.
very much for all of this. This has really been a pleasure. We could go off in different directions together, I'm sure, and exhaust all the time. But you're doing great things here and really shining your light, and I congratulate you for that and thank you for it. Thank you for being here with me today again, and I wish you and ORYKL every success going forward.
Thank you so much, Peter. It's just great. And thank you for your help. I know we've been in touch before. I really appreciate it. And I love what you're doing too. So thank you too.
And I thank the audience for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this and came away with something. Bye for now.